Welcome to Trumpet with Paul. Let's talk about how to take care of trumpet valves. Keeping your valves in good working condition is an important part of being a trumpet player. A common question I get is, how often should I oil my valves? And the answer is really, well, it depends on how much you're practicing. If you're practicing a lot, you might need to oil your valves every day. Probably for most people, oiling your valves every other day is just fine. At the very least, you're gonna wanna oil your valves at least once a week, or you might start running into problems with sticky valves. So let me teach you how to do this. The three things that you're gonna need are first, of course, your trumpet. Second, especially if you've never done this before, you're really gonna wanna have some kind of a towel or a paper towel, something that can protect your clothes from oil stains. And third, of course, you're gonna need that bottle of valve oil. I always keep a bottle right in my case for easy access, and I recommend using a high quality synthetic oil made specifically for trumpet valves. The two brands that I trust the most are Yamaha and Hetman. You'll probably be able to find these at your local music store, or I've included purchase links in the description of this video. There are definitely other reliable brands out there, but in my experience, there are also a lot of poor quality valve oils that exist in the world. And I'm curious what your experience has been. Feel free to discuss in the comments. So now that we've gathered up everything you'll need, let me show you how to do this. You can see I've got my towel on my lap ready to go. I've gone ahead and unscrewed the cap on the valve oil and have it within arm's reach. And my trumpet is resting here on my lap, and that's so that I have both hands free to use. Okay, so now that I have everything ready, we're gonna go ahead and open up the trumpet. And we're gonna do that first by identifying the valve casings here. We're gonna find the top of the valve casing, and we're gonna unscrew this part. I'm gonna take my pincher fingers like this. We're gonna grip here, and we're just gonna squeeze and turn to the left, counterclockwise. Lefty-loosey, as my mom used to say, and that should open up the valve casing there. And I'm going to do the same thing for the second valve in the middle. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the third valve as well. There we go. So once you've done this, you can actually, if you want to, you could pull the valve all the way out of the casing. And let's do that and just take a quick peek. You can see that each valve is individually labeled. This one has the number 1. The other ones have numbers 2 and number 3 on it. Do not mix them up. If you put them back in the wrong place, your trumpet will not work. I'm going to go ahead and gently, very carefully let this kind of jiggle back down. You don't want to ever drop or dent or ding your valve. It's probably the most delicate part of your trumpet. So once they're open, we're going to take our bottle of valve oil now. We're going to pull each valve out one at a time. We're looking for this gray part about halfway up the valve there. And we're going to tip the bottle over and just touch the tip and let a few drops of oil go around on every side. And you can see that gravity will just kind of help the oil fall down, the gray part of the valve. That's the part that needs to be oiled. Maybe spin it around a little bit. And let's do that with each valve now. Just put a few drops of oil on the gray part, let it fall down or jiggle it down. Again, just a few drops of oil while you're kind of spinning it gently around. Never force your valves. If they don't fall back down, you might need to very lightly jiggle them back down. And the last thing we need to do is align the valves. So you need to have this one facing the right direction. That one needs to be facing towards you, towards the mouthpiece when it's in the case. So you put it down there and you just give a little twist and then it locks right into place. Same thing with valve number 2. I'm looking for the 2, give it a little twist so that the 2 is facing that direction and it will lock in place. I'm going to look for the 3 on the third valve and then I'm going to just let it twist right into place. And the last step, you just got to close up those valve casings and we're just going to twist one at a time. First the first valve. This part can be a little tricky, getting it to line up correctly, I'll warn you, especially on student trumpets. The second valve, go ahead and give it a little twist. This takes a little bit of finesse. And then the third valve slide, There you go, and that's it. And once I've done that, I kind of work the valves up and down just a little bit more. It's always good at this point to do a little test to make sure that you've done everything correctly. And it works. Now, what could happen, and this is, don't worry if this happens to you, it's actually quite common. You might put the valve in and it might lock into place, or you might not have locked it into place sort of in the correct orientation. And if that happens, this is what might happen to you. If you try to blow into a trumpet when the valves aren't the right way, all sorts of funny stuff can happen. It'll feel like your trumpet is broken, or sometimes the air will be completely blocked. And it's not you, it's just that the trumpet is not put together correctly. So all I have to do to fix that is put my first valve back facing the right direction with the number 1 facing that way. Lock it into place, and now it works. And so that's a basic tutorial in how to oil your valves. The more you practice this, the easier it's going to get. One last word to the wise. Younger beginning students, or even adult beginning students, you might benefit from the help and presence of an older, more experienced trumpet player or trumpet teacher in the room the first few times that you oil your valves. Don't worry if it seems a little bit complicated getting things unscrewed or the threads don't quite go back the right way. It is a little bit complicated and it's easy to get stuck the first few times you do this. I do promise this really is going to get easier after just a few repetitions. If you need help, please don't hesitate to ask questions. You can comment in the video, or there are some links for how you can get in touch with me directly by checking out the video description. Thanks so much for watching the video. I really do hope that you found it helpful. Please do like and subscribe to my channel if you're looking for more high quality videos about how to become a better trumpet player. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.